LinkedIn's a maze, but I've cracked the code. For my Empire State Building talk, I've revealed my exact process to turn Sales Navigator into a lead generating machine. This is the same process I've used to build my business to 7 figures and have taught others to do the same exact thing across multiple industries. So with that being said, enjoy the video.
All right. Unlocking the power of LinkedIn and Sales Navigator. So, with this talk today, this will be extremely tactical. Now, I got to follow up John and Alex, so it's a lot to follow up with here. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to go inside Sales Navigator, show you some things, show you how to get meetings on LinkedIn. I think everyone, that's what they want to hear. Now, as we go into this, these are 3 things that are massively important for you to see success out of this talk. If you don't do these 3 things, I'm like, I can't really help you. So you got to do these 3 things, all right? Number one is if you have a comment, a question, a concern, you're like, Morgan, that's crazy, I need you to let me know. Because if you don't, I can't read your minds, all right? I can't do that, sorry. So you're gonna let me know, all right? So that's number 1. Number 2 is I want you to think about, just as a lot of the speakers mentioned today, 1, 2, or 3 things to go execute after. In a lot of these talks I've done, it's not about writing down, oh, I'm gonna do these 5,000 things when I get out of here. You won't do it. However, what we've seen, 1, 2, or 3 things you execute, you will see results. That's the key here. And the third thing is as we go throughout this content, we talk about sales nav, we talk about all these things, have the willingness to be uncomfortable. I'm gonna talk about some things today, y'all like, Morgan's crazy. What's he talking about? Like, I would never do that. However, the goal is to do something uncomfortable so you can get results that you haven't seen before. John and I used to talk about this a lot, which is the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario of you trying something new is you're actually in the same spot you just were. So there's really nothing wrong here. Now, if you do something crazy I didn't tell you, that's not on me. You didn't hear that from me. You hear that from another trainer, right? But like, if it's what we talk about here today, you will see those results. So that being said, we're gonna dive right in and talk about what can you be doing on LinkedIn differently that maybe you already are different, but let's just start with what are you gonna learn, right? The goal is you should walk out of here knowing at least these 5 things. And I'm not gonna read it off, we can all read. But the thing is, this is what you're going to learn. So as we go into learning, we gotta set the foundation here. Like, what are we actually looking at when it comes to LinkedIn? So some pretty interesting stats, okay? Well, LinkedIn has actually crossed over 1 billion members, right? It's great. A lot of companies, you've heard about it today through the content, et cetera, they're on LinkedIn active. We also know as well that more and more people from the millennial lens are getting more active on this platform as well. So there's gotta be different ways we're gonna have to engage with them to schedule meetings and ultimately accelerate the revenue of what we're doing. So when we think about LinkedIn, we gotta think about how can we break through the noise? How can we do things differently than everyone else is doing right now? And so as we think about these stats, more and more people are getting added to the platform, so we have to figure out how to leverage this, right? And as we get into this, we're gonna dive right into Sales Nav. Okay, so these are the top 5 filters. I'm gonna go through a lot of different things here, but these are the top 5 filters that you can use on Sales Nav. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is not up here like, hey, I just thought this would be great. Like, no, this is the reason. So, past company. Why past company? So, every single person in this room, at some point, you've worked with a client, you close the deal, and then they don't stay at the organization forever, they move on. So one of the best filters you can have is every single company or person you've worked with, you want to identify where they're going to go moving forward. So again, the past company is great because if you worked with like a big client, let's use like LinkedIn for example, you can look at every single person that has previously worked at LinkedIn and they were a client, and now if they go somewhere else, you can follow that journey. This is millions and millions of dollars wasted that people don't even know this, okay? So if you do this one tactic alone, that's gonna convert. Let's talk about the next one, seniority level. This one's pretty simple, VP, director, etc. Now, I want you to write down this tactic. If you're a manager, sales rep, business owner, I really don't care. This will help you immediately get some crazy results. So typically what I do is every 6 months, I look at, okay, who have we scheduled meetings with? So we say, okay, let's say, for example, in the past 6 months, 80% of the meetings that we schedule with the VP of marketing actually increases the deal size and lowers the sales cycle. So what does that mean? I should probably go look for more VPs of marketing. Pretty simple. However, what we look at sometimes in sales is like what we're given. So, okay, VP of marketing, CMO, but are you looking at the data to analyze who to actually go after? So if in the past 6 months, I know 80% of the time when I schedule this meeting, it will lead to a closed deal and more meetings, I should probably do that. Or in another example, when I schedule a meeting with the IT director, we actually get to people and power faster. I should probably schedule more meetings with the IT director. So one of the key components is obviously looking at your data, but then also leveraging in Sales Nav. Next thing is the connection. This is super straightforward. First degree connection, we're gonna talk about why that's important. Profile viewed recently. Show of hands, how many people are using this feature in Sales Nav? Oh, so a good amount of people. Some people are like, what is he talking about? Okay, so this is crazy. So inside of Sales Nav, you can see who's recently viewed your profile. There is no other social platform that can do this. Now, if it was, we would probably be in trouble. But the thing is, there's no other platform that can do this. So these are active and engaged users, potential buyers that is coming to your profile, and now we can use that as a lever point to reach out. So this is something I'm using weekly to say who is viewing my profile, and you're gonna see here in a minute, you can combo these, right? Profile viewed, okay, we know in the past 6 months, IT director has been great for us. IT director, now we're good to go. This last one's my favorite, following your company. So show of hands in here, how many people know about this one, follow your company and leverage it on a day-to-day basis? Okay, if you're not raising your hand, you gotta do this one. Okay, this tells you everyone who follows your company. They have clicked the follow button. This is low-hanging fruit because they follow your company, so they're probably seeing the content and they have familiarity. So we have to know that this is a trigger point that actually can lead to more conversions of opportunities. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go inside of Sales Nav and we're gonna start talking about how to actually do these things, and then we're gonna talk about plays on how you can schedule some meetings. So the key here is we're in Sales Nav, in real time. So I'm gonna show y'all something real quick that can be a game changer. So let's go back to following your company, right? So I'll click this button. And so when you click following your company, the key here is that it's gonna show you everyone who follows your company. Now, and the next step of this is, let's say, following your company and then viewed your profile recently. So this is an easy trigger point where I can now, just showing y'all an example, of a play that I can run. So every week, I would recommend every single person do this. Every single week, you should run this, let's say on a Friday afternoon, if you work on weekends, fantastic, Monday morning, I don't really care, but you should be doing this every week, and I do this every single week, is I say, who's following the company? Okay, great, we know low-hanging fruit trigger. Then we have viewed your profile recently. Okay, there's some intent and interest. No one just randomly just clicks profiles. And then a first degree connection. You can also do second if you want to, but I like to see the first so it's easier to message. And so the next step is I wanna be notified about this every week though. You actually don't have to do this search every single week unless you like doing that, but like you don't have to do this every single week. You can save this search. And so this is where it becomes a game changer that most people miss, but I'm gonna show this because it's changed the game for a lot of people we work with and even myself. So let's just use this as an example, okay? Following your company, viewed your profile recently, first degree connection. Then I'm gonna click Save Search, and it's now going to save. It's been saved right here. The next step, I'm gonna click Manage Save Searches. Now, obviously you've seen I've done a lot of these, and so as examples. But we just created this one right here. Now, the thing that I wanna show you all that most people will gloss over, and I used to gloss over it until I didn't even know what it meant, because I was just playing around one day, I was like, wait, what the heck? Y'all see this new results? How many of y'all knew about this one? So a couple people. When you click this, it brings up all the results within this saved search. So very familiar, most of you probably know about Google Alerts, where you can create your own alerts within Sales Nav to then know who exactly you should be targeting on a weekly basis. So what I do is I just say, okay, everyone that follows the company, everyone who's viewed my profile recently, and first degree connections, I then can create this saved search. And obviously it's not gonna do it right now because we just created it. At the end of the week, it will tell me all the people that viewed my profile and that fall within this criteria. So I don't have to like guess and be like, what do I do today? It's like, no, it just literally tells you what to do. And if you click these results here, it would come up with a new window. So for example, I have this trigger that I run, execs viewed profile. And so I click this, and these are all the execs in the new results. So now all I have to do is go through here. These are all people that are executives who have viewed my profile. John, why are you snooping on me, dog? But everyone, oh, shout out to Alan here too. Y'all snooping. What y'all doing? All right, but anyways. But as you can see, right, I now have first degree connections and execs who have viewed my profile. So now what I'm gonna do is I now can be like, okay, I can save it to a list. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute. But now we're prepared. Save searches is fantastic so that you don't have to do the same thing over and over and over again. But it also allows you as a rep, manager, owner, whatever you're doing, to accelerate what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, which is the ultimate key of this entire thing, right? So I always say using these combo trigger points is how you're gonna be able to be successful at this speed and at this rate. So with that being said, let's go into the leads portion, because I mentioned save. Now save list, so now we have again the save searches. Save searches, you should have as many as you can, and I would say a couple of them is, I would create a save search for just people who viewed your profile, so every week you can check it. I would also create a list of people who follow your company, so every week it automatically gives you an update, right? Because it'll give you a trigger point insight. And then also what I would do as well is I would create another one where it's just like, who are all the execs that are viewing my profile like I've done here? Those are basis points to start that will lead you to the success of ultimately what you're looking for here, right? That's just like the cornerstone. But once we've gotten past that, let's get into a couple of lead lists. Now, you'll see here, I have a lot of lists because I train on this pretty often. And I want to speak to one that changes the game, and it's going to allow you to have a repeatable process. So if we go here, you'll see, we're looking for it. All right, cool. We'll just give this as an example. Okay, train close one. All right, I'm gonna highlight this so everybody can see it. The reason that this one is important is so everyone in the room, again, we just talked about it, you probably worked with a client, you've probably done some type of business, but are you keeping track of that? So I like to call this the digital Rolodex. So every person that I've trained, closed, whatever, are inside of this list. And so now, whenever they decide to go somewhere, I already know. I'm coming, all right? I'm coming. Before anyone else, I'm already there. So the thing is, when people update their job, where do they go to first? So why would you not create a list of all the people you've worked with? Because that's the first place they're gonna go. And now you're ahead of the competition, right? Because we're not inherently competing against other companies, we are, but we're competing against other reps, other business owners, et cetera. So I'm trying to get ahead. So I have this trigger point where I'll go in here and I'll say, okay, who's changed jobs, right? Have they posted? What are they doing, right? I'm keeping tabs and I'm making sure I know where I'm going. And as I'm looking to build pipeline, it's not just about cold outbound. John was talking about that earlier. It's about how or different ways I can get out pipeline by it not just being cold. And this is a great way because now I can go talk to these people and I can ask for referrals. So now I have an entire inventory of referrals at any time. So this is unlimited pipeline. Y'all should be more excited about this. But this is unlimited pipeline, all right? Because I can truly, really never run out as long as I continuously work with people and get referrals. So let's just give a baseline example, right? So here, I click in, boom, everyone who's changed jobs in the past 90 days. Now, one of the key points here, this is where people go wrong. When you see this, you're gonna be like, oh, like, saw you change companies, like, you got money, like, what's up? Do not do this, all right? You didn't hear that from me, all right? You heard it from someone else. But what are you going to do here, right? So there's a couple things. One is, let's use a video. Obviously, shout out to Spark. So I'll send someone a video, but hey, congrats. On the new role, John, you know this one because we talked about this. Congrats on the new role. Hope it means a lot to you professionally and personally. I'm out. Nothing else. Another thing that you could do is approximately sometimes when you actually look at the LinkedIn profile, it'll tell you like 2 months, essentially. I'll just reach out with purpose. So I'm just like, hey, what's up? Like, no, it's like, hey, here's the reason why I'm reaching out. I saw this thing. Here's how it correlates, call to action. Because when they're about at the 2-month mark, they probably have had enough time to get the situation in order where you potentially can schedule a meeting. But if you're waiting like 1 month in and you're gonna go in, yeah, everyone else is doing that. So you're not gonna get very far. But I typically recommend people, if you're at the 2-3 month mark, which again, this covers 90 days, the 2-month mark should be fine because you actually can lead with intent. They probably have had their meetings. But there's no way you're gonna get someone immediately when they change and click that button to schedule a meeting because they barely have gotten to the system, right? If they're in the office, they don't know where the bathroom is at yet. So they're not gonna meet with you. So that's why we wanna make sure that we're doing these things, right? So that's another lever point. And then again, you see on the far right, leads that follow your company, right? So there's a ton of action, there's a ton of engagement I can start doing right there, right? So that's why I love this list, and I encourage you all to create this list because it's gonna allow you to move in a very positive direction overall, right? Because it's gonna put you in the spot of where you need to be. I have a couple other lists. I have a list for locations, obviously. I have lists for different events that are happening. I even have a list for even podcasts I've created and who's been on that. So I highly encourage you all to have this list because it will give you real-time updates. Another thing is it's very hard to track engagement and messages in LinkedIn. So that's why I created this list. So for example, if we go back to what I was at, let's see where I was at down here, and we click this. Y'all see this right here, outreach activity. So the outreach activity shows if you've messaged that person at all. So this is there's other ways, but this is truly the only way you can do this. So if it's gray, that means you sent a message and they didn't respond. So Shannon just wasn't feeling what I was saying, I guess. But if you see all this other stuff, right, you see this message received, that means they actually saw it and did reply. So this is just a good metric of like what is actually happening with these people. Because if you don't have that, that's where things can go awry very, very quickly. Now, within that, we've shown a couple of examples. I'll show one more. Let's just go into an account, right? So let's just dive into Asana, for example. Now, there's a ton of things happening here. I don't know if you all use Relationship Explorer. It's actually one of my favorite things that I use because when you're going into an account, there's so many different variables. So what I do is I'm like, all right, cool. What are the different personas I'm going after? So I've created different Relationship Explorer pieces. So when I'm going into an account, it's very simple for me to do that. So marketing, sales leadership, demand gen, default personas, CXO, all these different things. I've created different filters for them. So if I'm looking into marketing, for example, I'm looking to sell whatever it may be, our services or whatever have you, I've already created this. So this is already essentially baked in as C-suites, VPs, directors, etc. Then, if you already have relationship mapping, fantastic, but I like just putting this map in. So we'll just use this in a random example. I start adding in people to this map. So I like this because I can change it to different roles. And then now when I'm working on bigger enterprise accounts, there's a way that I can look at this and share with my team. Now, I only have one, it's only me using Sales Nav, so I can't show the example. But essentially, within this, I can then say, okay, cool, this is my decision maker, my champion, my evaluator. This is another way inside of Sales Nav while you're already doing your thing to map things out accordingly and make it super clean and concise. So I like doing this a lot for bigger accounts I work with, maybe smaller, may not be as applicable, but just giving you all an example, if you are working on the enterprise account realm, this is something fantastic to use and continuously add people across the board, right? This is where, again, where we want to focus and lock in on how do we make sure that every single thing that we're doing in Sales Nav is leading to how we're going to reach out. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute, how do we reach out? That's going to be the key. But all these different filters, all these things across the board are correlating and coming together to make your life and job a lot easier, right? So that's the key there. Now I want to go back and share something that I've been testing myself, and I'll probably know in the next 3 months the success and things of that nature, but it's something I've noticed. So Alex was talking about it earlier. A lot more people are looking to create content. You obviously just went through the exercise. we've identified that more executives are looking to post on LinkedIn and get active. You obviously see there's a billion users at this point, so clearly that's the direction. If you are looking to reach out to any executive, we just heard from John, it's becoming a lot more difficult, and you have to become a mini marketer. And Alex addressed that, but there's another way that you can get in front of people, which is through the comments. No, I'm not saying you to sit there and do 1,000 comments. That's not gonna be my advice. But I want you all to think about something, and it's something that I've identified and noticed. Most executives that you're looking to get in front of, if they do post, check this out. They got like 0 comments. I saw like the VP of marketing at this large, and he had no comments. I'm like, bro, what? Why is this a ghost town, right? And so I was like, okay, what if I could identify all the people I need to get in front of and create a list of those people who are posting and start commenting and see what happens. And we can do that. So you're gonna see here, posted on LinkedIn. So these are all these people, right? 22 million results. It's pretty crazy. So people are getting active. Maybe they're posting every single day, but they are active. Sometimes like, oh, well, people aren't posting. Well, clearly, right? So now what do we do? So the next step would be, I'd be like, all right, cool. Let's look at our job titles. And I'm just gonna put marketing, keep it super simple. We'll put that in there, right? And so now we'll do seniority level. We just talked about this earlier. Let's just say I want VP only. Let's just like play this game. Okay, there's still 35,000 results. Now again, I'm not telling you all to go comment on 35,000 people. What I am telling you though, that this is happening. The data is very clear. So now the next step would be, how do we filter this down? Obviously you would be like, okay, maybe past company type, maybe you have a territory, which you actually can filter this down by postal code for those who are wondering. You can get very, very granular, right? Postal code's right there. We're not gonna go through all that. I'm just getting you all to think about what's going on. How many reps are like, let me go comment on 5 executives a post a day? If you do the math, that's 100 people that you would comment on in a month. For quick maths, 5 times 5, 25, 25 times 4, 100, right? It's 100 people. How many people are doing that? If you add that up total, that's 1,200 people. 1,200 executives you could comment on a post. How many people are doing that? Less than 0.0001%. 5 comments a day is not that difficult. But you notice how that just add up to 1,200. So let's just say 10% of those people actually engage with you. That's 120 people, 120 executives. That sounds pretty good to me. So notice how the data and how Sales Nav can help you do the things that we talked about today and give you a direction to do that. If I was coming out of this room and I was in a seat of a sales role, I would literally just be like, all right, 5 comments today. Not too crazy, because I know someone's gonna engage with me because they're not getting any comments. None, it's a ghost town. Telling y'all gonna be like, wait, what? Like big companies, big names, nobody's there. Because most people are afraid because they think they're gonna have a bad comment. But if you do, I'll give you a tip on this. You do 2 lines, so it'd be 2 sentences, and then the third sentence would be a question. They're gonna engage with you. Now you're having a conversation in the comments, which then would lead to the DMs, which would lead to prospecting. So all this plays together, right? So these are just little things that you can be doing that lead to success, right? And so when we look at sales now, we look at these things, that's how we wanna go about it. Travis, you had a question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for people that are like, oh, I don't know what to write on these comments, bro. Like, what should I put?
Bessel, I'm just kidding. But ultimately, like, when you think about the comment, think about starting a conversation instead of using it as a task. So most people, we've all seen this. I'll be like, hey, go comment. They're like, great. They're like, great post. Very insightful. Like, bro, we all know that's a lie. So you have to think about, how do I start a conversation? So if I would give you a formula, which if you follow me for a while, you know I'm all about formulas. It's number 1, comment on the insight, whatever it was. 2 is add your perspective. And then 3 is a question. So comment on the insight, say, oh, cool, that was a good insight, glad you found that, whatever it is, right? Then I'll add my 2 cents and say, this is what I've learned from that thing, and then I'll ask a question. This is a super simple framework. Comment on what you saw, why did you like it, whatever, right? Second piece is, okay, how maybe I've used that, or what did I learn from that thing? And the third thing is ask a question. Do not leave a comment and not ask a question, because then people can be like, and move on. We want engage. You want a conversation inside of the post that then somehow leads into a meeting and you didn't have to do anything. Because they're gonna be like, wow, someone actually engaged with me. Because ultimately what we're playing with is psychological triggers of humans. Because ultimately at the end of the day, people want their ego to be stroked. Oh, wow, that's a beautiful comment. This is great on my post. That's a real thing. So we're gonna hit that dopamine receptor. We're gonna hit that ego as well. We're gonna tell them this was good. We're gonna tell them what we learned from it to show you're insightful. You're not another random bot out here. These AI commenters are getting crazy. They're getting crazy out here. And then the third thing is a question. So if you do that, that leads to more conversation. So on top of your already motion of sales or outbound you're doing, you're also having engagement on LinkedIn, and you don't inherently have to post every single day, because now your engagement on social is just commenting, which will lead to more and more. And this is the next layer to it on LinkedIn. Most of you know this. When you comment on someone's post, you are feeding the algorithm to tell you where you want to go. Most people are like, yo, my algorithm's trash. It's because you're probably liking trash. I'm gonna be straight up. I've been studying the algorithms, and people are like, oh, I'm like, you're probably engaging with the wrong things. But if you start commenting on buyer personas of people who you want to actually talk to, you will start seeing more of those people, and guess what? They're gonna see your comments. If you scroll through LinkedIn, once y'all do this later, people just look at the post. But if you look at the top, it'll actually tell you the reason why you have that in your algorithm. If y'all didn't know this, it'll say commented by person, liked by person, reposted by person, which means the person you engage with the most or who you talk to, that content's gonna be pushed to you because you engage with that person. Which it's already saying, you've told the algorithm, I like this person, so anything they like or comment, I'm also gonna probably like what they have as well. So that means that if I comment on more executives, that means I'll have more engagement with those people, which ultimately will lead to the results of what I'm looking for. But again, if you're liking random things that have nothing to do with your industry, it's not gonna work out for you. Just being transparent. So that's why we have to comment on the people that we want to get in front of. And if you want to engage, if you want to engage with other things, great, create another account. But for this whole entire thing, we want to focus on the people we were trying to get in front of. So hopefully Travis helped answer your question. Cool. All right. So.
Question on that. So obviously when it comes to tracking our AEs, SDRs, activities still a metric that often gets looked at.
100%.
Sending those emails, sending those LinkedIn mails, all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of times spent towards insightful commenting obviously is very high value.
For sure.
It doesn't have tracks and activities.
Yep.
Curious how you kind of think about that.
Oh man, I'm not in sales ops. I'm the wrong person to ask. No, I'm just kidding. I got you. So essentially, what sales engagement tool do you use?
We're using Sales Navigator.
Okay, cool. So inside of SalesLoft, they have something called Other, and you label the Other as the thing that you want them to do. So if it's a comment, then we will label as Other as comment, and then that will be a completed task. If it's a LinkedIn message, we create it as Other, and then they create that task, and then they complete it. Obviously, it's up to the rep to complete the task, right? That's where that comes into play. However, this can be done if you mainly do it as an Other task, and then you go from there. So can be done, it will go through the API, it will be assessed. You either, one, create it as a step inside of the cadence itself, or you have to tell people mainly how to do it, and you would create SOPs on how to actually take that action. And then now you can attribute to, our commenting is leading to more meetings, more inbound flow, what have you. Did that help answer the question?
Yeah, that's great.
Cool, fantastic. All right, last one, then we'll move on to the next piece.
So what you're doing here with leads, can you do this at an account level with a book of business with target accounts?
Yes, so in short, if you have a certain level of the account, you can actually import certain lists, and then it will have the book of business there.
Okay.
In short, yes. Yep. All right, cool. We're getting out of Sales Nav. Hopefully you learned some new things. Now we have to take, these are clues, right? I've given you a lot of clues. Connection, follow on your company, viewed recently. We talked about the profiles, right? We just talked about the posting. We got a lot of information. Now that we have information, we have to do something with it because we still have to take action. So the next component of this, right, as we move on to the next thing, is gonna be talking about some plays, all right? So I got some plays. You've seen this talk before, I've never showed these plays. So we're gonna talk about some plays. Play one is the boomerang, all right? So essentially when you reach out to someone, this is like a templated thing. So if you do cold calling, cold email, I don't really care, this is how you do this. The whole thing is, you notice you worked at a past company, fantastic. The subject line that works here, for those of you who are wondering already, I just use the company that they worked at. Super simple. They're gonna open that email because they worked at that company. It's pretty high open rate, it's like 85%. So they open it, cool, we're here, and then you talk about what you did at the past company. Don't be like, hey, saw you worked at Google and we work with them, you should work with us, like that. No, you gotta actually tell them what happened, all right? Then, this is just an interest call to action. You've probably already seen this on LinkedIn a lot, and this is what you do here. So this is the boomerang. It's, you went somewhere, we're gonna bring you back, we're gonna throw the boomerang, and we're gonna schedule that meeting. All right, so that's play number 1. Has everyone taken their screenshots before I continue? Okay, fantastic. So now the next thing is the inspector. Yo, I love this play. Anybody watch this show? Maybe I know. Yeah, here we go. Okay.
You're way too bad to watch.
Wait, oh my.
Watch that show. Maybe the new version. That's a whole man show right there. I remember that show.
It's a good show. It's a good show. I'm just making sure. So the inspector that clearly I wasn't alive to see. So here, right, you see all these different components. I really like this one because you want to notice that they went to the company page. I added something special for y'all, the connection request. Saw you follow our company page, what content resonated with you? Why? Because they obviously followed because they probably saw a piece of content, like 75% of the time. So that's why we're gonna ask that connection request. Okay, surprise sniper. Okay, so this basically is, they came to your profile, all right? And now we're gonna talk about this, right? So a couple things here. You can say, saw you viewed my profile, and then we want to leave with an insight. And then now we ask this question. And then this is a key thing here, is notice you follow a company, and this is also another way you can do it as well. So I don't say, notice you viewed my profile, let's connect. I just mention either follow the company if it's there, or I'll just say, hey, notice that you have this thing in your profile. So it could be like, notice that they have this familiarity, this speciality, whatever it is. I don't directly say, hey, saw you view my profile. I only on first degree connections will do something like this, for example. And then my other play that I do is my favorite actually, is I will tell people, please don't even do this or not, but it does work. So when people view my profile, I'll say, hey, notice you view my profile. Did I do something wrong? And most people will do it. They laugh and they're like, no, I didn't do anything wrong, Morgan. I want to talk about X. Boom, and then we're there. So another point. Now I show this because this is some data, right? And this actually is from Unifor, and I wanted to describe this because when you're looking to keep people engaged throughout the sales process, you want to do something different, right? And you see just the data here, it just talks about, obviously people are going to purchase if you keep them engaged throughout the process. So we want this to be an experience, not just something that people go through. And in order for it to be experienced, we have to do something different, right? Based on this data and how it breaks down.